Today I want to talk about homemaking for the senses. But before I do, I want to give a brief recap of our Easter. Every year, I like to do something with my children that helps celebrate the true meaning of Easter. And this year, my sister sent me this adorable idea of taking donuts and donut holes and making an empty tomb. We don't do Easter outfits per se, but I do get out their spring clothes and their white church shoes. I like everyone looking like celebrating, not dark and morbid. And church is the biggest part of our Resurrection Day celebration.
Why weepest thou? Whom seekest thou? She supposing him to be a gardener saith unto him, Sir, if thou have borne him hence.
We don't do the same meal every year. This year I roasted a whole chicken with lemon and rosemary. I guess lamb is probably the most traditional meal you could have on Easter, but instead of eating our lamb this year, we got some new sheep to help work our border collie puppies that we are trying to sell. So we have added sheep to our menagerie. My dad was here on a visit from Texas, and he was commenting about all of the farm sounds that are all around us. So I am sitting here on our porch early this morning, and hopefully you can hear me because, like I said, it is quite noisy. Birds in the trees and just a part of our life here. But I've been thinking a lot about our senses and how that plays into our homemaking. And I started thinking about the memories that I have of my grandparents' homes. Both of my grandparents on my dad's side were coffee drinkers. And from a little child, they would give me coffee in a sippy cup, mostly cream and sugar, but I grew up drinking coffee, and that was just for very special occasions. It wasn't like I drank it all the time. We would visit once a year, and that was our special treat. But I love the smell of fresh brewed coffee. Actually, my oldest son, Jude, has been getting up around 6 o'clock in the morning and making coffee so that it's ready when I wake up. And it's so sweet. And I love waking up to that smell. I also remember them having a real wood burning fireplace. And so putting the logs on the fire and feeling the warmth of that fire. We visited mostly at Christmas or Thanksgiving were the holidays that we were there. And so it was usually cooler and the fire was so warm and cozy. I also remember my papa, after he would shave, he used either like a aftershave lotion or an aftershave oil or something, and when I hugged him I could smell that on him. And so I have memories of that. He had a little shop that he tinkered in with tools and such, and that shop, to this day I can close my eyes and I can think of that smell that I don't know that I have smelled that smell since. It was just very unique. It wasn't like a real oily smell. It was just so unique. And so that is a memory that I have of their home there. So I've been thinking about what kind of culture do I want to create in our home. And one of the things that I really want to do better at is bread making. I've had a sourdough starter for over a year now, and opening that jar of sourdough starter just smells so wonderful, and I would love to be able to make bread more. I just haven't really figured out a rhythm where I can do it on a regular basis because of the preparation time Usually I'm like the day of trying to think, oh, I need homemade bread tonight. And so I have to get in a better rhythm with that. A friend of mine said one of the memories she has of my in-laws' house is walking in and smelling homemade bread. And I just really want that to be a part of what my kids remember. And so I'm really going to be working on that. The smell of fresh baked cookies, baking in the oven. I shared today some cookies that I made, and that smell of fresh rosemary and lemon, it just is so heartwarming to walk into a home and smell that. I know when I was using Norwex cleaning products, I learned clean does not have a smell. If something is clean, it shouldn't have a bad smell from bacteria and things like that, but it also doesn't have a chemical smell because a lot of our modern cleaners have so many chemicals in them and artificial scents and such. And so if you have something truly clean, then it's neutral, like it doesn't have a smell. And so I try to gravitate more toward the natural cleaning products and then use other scents to fill my home, such as essential oil diffuser or baking something in the oven, like I mentioned. I want to be a homemaker that appreciates all of the beauties of homemaking. Decorating is one of my loves, but I feel like sometimes we can overemphasize having just the perfect decor, perfectly styled, and maybe we neglect some of the other aspects of homemaking, such as the smells or the tastes of our food. Working on those things as well as the decor part and balancing it all to where we are, every sense is comforted and warmed, and creating this atmosphere in our homes of just cozy and homely, as they say in England, just a place of refuge. And when others walk in, they can feel that and sense that as well.
We get so many fresh lemons this time of year, and I like to do a variety of things with them. I've made household cleaning products, I've done lemon zest to freeze, lemon juice to freeze, we've made lots of lemonade already, and I wanted to make some lemon rosemary cookies. This recipe came from a very sweet elderly lady in our church who made them for us, and I got her recipe and we have adapted it a couple of different ways. This way I added in cranberry and orange zest, but the original recipe calls for just rosemary, and then I added lemon into those. I used fresh rosemary from our garden, and these make a wonderful little butter more of a shortbread type of cookie to have with tea or coffee. Another thing that I did with lemons this year is to make a table centerpiece. We had some lemons given to us that were so large. They are the biggest lemons I've ever seen. This is our lemon tree right now, and it is just loaded with blooms. And every time I walk by it, it is just like a little smell of a piece of heaven. And so I wanted to bring that inside and decided to make this little centerpiece. So I just filled the bottom of a soup tureen with some oranges and lemons. Tried to put the oranges on the very bottom so you don't see those, just for filler. And then the lemons on top. And then I just took the sprigs of lemon blossoms that I cut and just arranged them around the top of the fruit. And I forgot to add water until later and noticed they were very droopy, so I did have to add that water in. But it smells so wonderful in our home. I hope this has inspired you today. Each one of us is telling our own story through our home, and I hope that it will encourage you to think about the environment that you are creating in your home, the sights, the smells that make memories for our families, and that will leave a legacy. Maybe our children or our guests will not remember how our decor was styled perfectly, but they will remember the smell of fresh baked bread or the fresh table arrangements that adorned the table at meal times, the sound of certain music, or something very unique to your own family. This is what will stay in their minds and hearts forever. So let me know, friends, what comes to your mind. What sights and sounds and smells do you recall from your childhood, from a grandparent's house or your own home? I would love to know what made your story unique and memorable. Our five senses are such wonderful gifts to be enjoyed and to be used and cultivated. Hearing the barking of our dogs, the mooing of our cows, and watching this glorious sunset is just a reminder of how very blessed we are. Thanks for watching, friends, and I hope to see you next time.